Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with Daily Technical Update. It is Tuesday the 9th of July and stock of the day today is Intel. It was mentioned in my technical update last week when I went through about 10 semiconductor companies, and Intel was mentioned that it could break this deadlock here. First of all, breaking this triangle-like pattern and then testing the resistance here at the 32.25, and this gap area here was then again tested yesterday where it tried to close. It didn't close, but it did touch it right there, 34.08, and within a cent it actually did touch it. So next couple of days could be interesting. I think we will see a little bit of a setback, but I think also we will have another go. We are now in a positive sentiment on the RSI, indicating likely higher levels, so we could see a break higher if it does close above this level here, above 34 and a change. I would actually say it should actually be the right there, 34.18, because that was the closing price. Then I think there could be potential up to around the 37 level possibly, but the 100 moving average will give some resistance, but there could be a potential all the way up to around 38, 39, where we also have the 200 moving average coming down. It will not be a slam dunk, it will be a struggle, I think, but I think the tide has turned for Intel, at least on the short term here. Let's see on the longer term, that could be a different story. S&P 500 a little bit higher yesterday, just marginally, so a fairly quiet day. Same picture really, uptrend. No divergence on the RSI, likely to push higher in coming weeks, but we could see a little bit of a correction. Nasdaq 100 also higher. Now we actually do have a little bit of a divergence, but let's see. I would like to see a top and reversal pattern in place. I think it will touch the 200% of this little correction here at 20,430. 483. And it was very close to, but let's see in the next couple of days. I think it can take a little bit higher. EUROSTOXX 50 failed for a second straight day to close above 1,000 and above the cloud, and I think now we could slide back towards the 4,900, possibly lower. It's going to be interesting. Can it actually hold this 48.88 support level? DAX also failed for a second straight day to close above 18,630, and it hasn't closed above the cloud. Could have another go, but as you can see here, RSI is also struggling. If RSI breaks below the and closes below the lower rising trend line here, then we could see a selling pressure down towards 18,000 again. AX, well, it is struggling a little bit, and there has been some warning signs in the form of this RSI divergence here for quite some time. So the uptrend is quite stretched. It is not unlikely we will push higher, but this little negative candle here was not good news for AX. I wouldn't call it a complete top and reversal just yet. I want a confirmation. 918 is the key support for that. CAC 40 rejected yesterday at the 77.25. Excuse me, 77 for a second straight day after the election, and I think we'll be caught range bound in this area here between 77.25 and 74.64. If it does break below or closes below especially, well, then we're looking at 7,300. Swiss market still range bound, so not much to say there really. Euro dollar also fairly muted, and across the board it's been fairly muted overnight and yesterday and this morning. We are still above 108.16, resistance 108.52 that needs to be broken for further upside potential. RSI indecisive, it actually spot on the 60 threshold, a little bit higher actually, but we are above the cloud. We are also above the moving averages that are still rising, but it seems to fizzle a little bit. Maybe this bullish move here. I want to see it breaking this resistance for going completely fully bullish. Euro sterling downside pressure. We have broken below the lower rising trend line on the RSI. if it does close below 40 threshold, well, then expect a push towards 84, and the key support here is 84.28 or 28.30 level, and to the upside is 85. Not much to say really. Cable also still pushing higher, and I think it will reach the 129. It will be a little bit of a struggle though. We can see RSI above the 60 threshold, BI in a positive sentiment, and the 55 crossed over the 100 moving average. All moving averages are rising, meaning that the underlying sentiment and trends are in a bullish. So 129 could be tested fairly shortly. The yen pairs still, I mean, really not much volatility at the moment. A little bit of correction here in dollar yen. I still believe we could see a correction down to around 159-ish level before next push higher. But if it takes out the 161.95, well, then we could see a push towards 163, possibly higher. So we are a little bit on the knife's edge here, and also looking at the other yen pairs that actually last night or yesterday spiked a little bit higher on the euro yen, touched bang on the 138 projection of this correction back here in April-May. I think we will get a correction. Seems some weakness. We have these dojis here where there's almost no volatility. We should have a correction down to around 172. However, if it takes out to the upside, well, then the 176.40 level could be reached. And again, we are. Let's see. We do have. Do we have 77.59 and we do have a little bit of divergence here, indicating the uptrend is quite stretched. So I think we'll get a correction, but I want proof here. Same picture on the Aussie yen, really. Excuse me. Tried to push higher yesterday, holding on today. There's no divergence on the RSI. But still, I think we will get a little bit of a correction. Not that big, actually. Possibly down to 106. But see, I mean, we have been trending up for like 6 weeks, and here was only a small correction. So actually, for the past couple of months, it's actually been just going higher and higher and higher. We need a little bit of correction before another push higher, I believe. Also, sterling yen spiked a little bit higher yesterday, but failed to stay up, and the close here was a little bit lower than this one. Still believe we'll get a little bit of correction, maybe down to around 203. Around this level, where we also have the rising trend line coming up here. There's no divergence on the RSI, so it's actually supporting higher levels on sterling yen. And again, remember, there's no strong resistance until 214. Not saying that will push up there just straight away, but eventually I think we could crawl towards that level. Aussie dollar, also in a bullish trend, no divergence. We should see it crawling higher towards 68 here in coming days and weeks. Dollar Canada, I'm almost getting tired of it. 135.90 support, 137.85 resistance. That's the area. Euro Swiss corrected almost down to 38.2, but did miss it. We can still get a correction down there, since we have the pair below the 55 moving average. It's being pinched between the 55 and the 100 moving average. We do have positive sentiment. No, we don't. It's actually, well, it's slammed dunk on a 6 threshold, so it's on a knife set. It's really by close call there, really. So, but still believe we could have better correction a little bit lower before next move higher, and I still believe we will see Euro Swiss moving higher in coming weeks. Dollar Swiss corrected 50%, which is highly unusual in the FX market. It's usually 61.8 or 7.86 retracement, so maybe it's not just over yet, and we still have negative sentiment here on the RSI, so we could see a push lower towards the 61.8 at 89, possibly a little bit low. We can see moving average 55 declining, 200 also dragging on it. The 100 is still rising a little bit, but I think we will see dollar Swiss pushing lower here in the coming weeks. It really needs to get back above 90.5 for any upside potential. Dollar index, well, holding on above the 100 moving average, giving a little bit of support. Could still dip down to 104.26, possibly lower, especially if your dollar is moving higher. But at the moment, it seems market are fairly quiet. Gold took a little bit of beating yesterday after closing above 23.88. We are in a bullish trend with higher highs, taking out this higher high there. Little bit of correction. I think we'll still push higher here in the next days and weeks. We are in a positive sentiment after closing back above 60, which reconfirmed it. So I think we will see a push higher. If it does collapse totally and back below this falling trend line, well, then it's most likely busted and demolished this bullish picture, and we'll have another wait and see what's going on. Silver closed back below the 30.85 yesterday. Now it is trading back above, and again I still think that we will see a push higher in the coming weeks towards a previous peak here at 32.5, possibly higher. If it does slide back lower, if it does slide back below this falling trend line there, well, then it will also go back into neutral and see what happens. But we have the 55 moving average coming up. We are in a positive sentiment. There's no divergence. We should see a higher push in coming days and weeks. Also, the platinum got hammered back down below the 1015 level, but it did close above. The cloud did close above, and we are in a bullish trend. Higher high, higher low, and higher high. So I think we will see it pushing higher in coming days. But platinum is, as you can see, very volatile indeed. On the energy side, we had the WTI get rejected at the 84.46, setting back, and then we could push down to around 81, 80, spot 60, and we can actually just add a Fibonacci and see, well, maybe there are some, let's see here. Well, it's all the way down to 38.2 is there, just above 80. It's not unlikely we will slide back down to that level, but we have the 100 moving average coming up. You had the 55 slowly turning around, giving a little bit of support, but this was not very convincing. It actually needs to break higher for a push towards previous peaks there. Brent crude oil never even got close to test its resistance, and now I think we'll see a test of the 85, possibly a little bit lower here also on Brent oil. So a little bit heavy on the crude oil situation. And the US 10-year yields, yeah, well, as we talked about, it would probably trade between 440 and 430. Actually dipped a little bit lower to 425. I think it will be in this range here for quite some time, but key support 417. If it does close below that, well, then we will have much lower US 10-year rates. All right, that's all for today. Sorry about my voice here this morning. I don't know what's going on, but you have a nice day and have a trading.